Well, good evening and welcome to the second ceremony of the Peter Singer Prize, which is awarded to those who apply effective strategies to reduce animal suffering.
Ja, guten Abend und herzlich willkommen auch meinerseits zur Verleihung des diesjährigen Peter Singer Preises. Nachdem es sich um eine internationale Auszeichnung handelt, wo sowohl der Namensgeber Peter Singer als auch die diesjährige Preisträgerin Ingrid Newkirk primär englischsprachig sind, werden wir auch die Moderation komplett auf Englisch übernehmen. Okay, so thank you very much for being all here for this unique and very important event that is acknowledging the suffering of non-human animals and awarding those who work so hard to protect them.
So animal exploitation is a global atrocity. For animal agriculture alone, 1.2 billion animals are slaughtered globally every single week. That's more than the total number of people killed for all wars throughout history. And Germany, I'm happy to say, is taking a leading role in the stand against animal exploitation. It's actually one of the leading countries now that is working for the protection of animals. In fact, recently, Berlin was voted the most vegan-friendly city in the world. So it's really fitting that the Peter Singer Prize should take place in this country. And thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause. So it's a pleasure to moderate this ceremony tonight and to be able to introduce such inspiring speakers. I'm going to get started by introducing my co-moderator, Sebastian Joy, who is the CEO of VIBU, Vegetarierbund Deutschland, which is one of Europe's leading vegan organizations. He is also a contributing author to the German edition of Jonathan Safran Foer's Eating Animals. He's created Veggie World, which is the largest vegan fair in the world. He also created the B12 toothpaste. So if you want to get your B12 without popping a pill, just make sure you keep your teeth clean. And I'm also proud to say that he recently became my husband.
Thank you, and I'm very honored to introduce you to Dr. Melanie Joy, who, besides being my wife, is also a best-selling author, psychologist, and founder and president of the animal protection organization Beyond Carnism. She's best known for pioneering work to uncover carnism, which is the invisible belief system that conditions us to eat certain animals. Her book, Why We Love Dogs, Eat Pigs, and Wear Cows, is about to be published in its 12 languages, and as we found out recently, there are some Russian illegal copies circulating, so it's actually 13 languages so far.
So before we introduce our live speakers, we're going to read statements from two of the speakers who couldn't be here tonight. And the first statement is from Manika Sanjay Gandhi, who is the Indian Union Cabinet Minister for Women and Child Welfare, and she is also the chairperson for People for Animals India. And she sent in her statement. She says, I am delighted that the prestigious Peter Singer Prize is going to the founder and head of People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, Ingrid Newkirk. It is well deserved, and I congratulate Dr. Neusel for having chosen such a suitable candidate. Ingrid has always been one of my heroines. Without any political or financial backing, she has raised an organization through sheer grit and determination. This organization is scientific in temper and fast and original in thought and deed. Their media handling of animal issues is remarkable. She has been a great friend of India. In fact, we are proud to say that she spent part of her childhood here. Many years ago, before I had thought that animal welfare could be run through an organization, I visited Ingrid's PETA in Washington and saw the scope of what they did. This inspired me to start People for Animals India. I wish her and the prize long and successful winnings in alleviating the suffering of animals and removing speciesism, which is destroying this world. Thank you, Manika Sanjay Gandhi.
thank you, Melanie. The next statement is from Peter Singer himself, after whom this prize is named, as you all know. And I assume that most of you have a rough idea who Peter Singer is, but I'm nevertheless going to give you a rough description of him. Peter Singer is often described as the world's most influential living philosopher. In 2005, Time magazine named him one of the 100 most influential people in the world. He's especially known for his works on ethics of our treatment of animals. He first became known internationally after the publication of his book Animal Liberation in 1975. And in 2011, Time again included Animal Liberation in its all-time list of 100 best non-fiction books published in English since the magazine began in 1923. Singer has written and co-authored, edited and co-edited more than 40 books, and which appeared in 30 different languages. And yes, this is what can be said on an abstract level from Peter Singer, and on a personal story, I actually have to admit that I feel very comfortable and at home in this surrounding today, because it was actually also first an article by Peter Singer who convinced me to go vegan, at the same time as I saw some footage from animal abuse from Peter Singer, which might have been produced by Dr. Manfred Karremann, who knows, and then I went on to spend 1 year at PETA, at Harald Ullmann, which is also present, so yes, I'm very honored in this special arrangement, surrounded by people and names who have such a great influence. So I'm a living example of what these great people have achieved. Thank you. Yes. So I'm going to read now Peter Singer's statement. I was greatly honored by Dr. Walter Neusel's decision to establish the Peter Singer Prize for strategies to reduce the suffering of animals and to be its first recipient. Now I'm very pleased that the second recipient will be Ingrid Newkirk. She's absolutely the right person to receive this award because her focus has always been, for the past 40 years, constantly and resolutely been on reducing the suffering of animals. And in that cause, she has been a truly great activist. I first met Ingrid when I spent some months in Washington, D.C. in 1979. If I remember rightly, it was at a vegetarian Thanksgiving dinner. People for the ethical treatment of animals did not yet exist, but she and Alex Pacheco told me that they had plans to start an organization that would be based on ideas similar to those I presented in my book, Animal Liberation. Well, plans are nice, but many people have plans to do great things. Little did I imagine that this plan would be the start of the largest animal rights organization in the world, that Peter would make millions of people aware that animals are not ours to eat, wear, experiment on, use for entertainment, or abuse in any other way, and that it would transform the politics of animal protection in the United States and in other countries as well. Ingrid and Alex pioneered undercover investigations in the famous Silver Spring monkey cases that brought national attention to PETA. That strategy has been used thousands of times since to great effect. Ingrid has always had a good sense of where to apply pressure in order to achieve results. She will use the political process if there's a chance that it will succeed. But if not, she will target corporations that are abusing animals, often with great success. Ingrid has developed highly effective strategies for gaining media attention for the abuse of animals. Sometimes her media stunts have been controversial, but Ingrid's focus has always been on the urgency of stopping the vast amount of suffering we inflict on animals. And she has seen this end as justifying means that would have been objectionable if the cause were not so important. And generally, her judgment on that issue has been sound. The strategies she has used have extraordinarily effective been in reducing the suffering of animals. Ingrid is a practical person and an amazingly effective organizer, but she's also well aware of the importance of ideas. I will always be grateful for her for the fact that when PETA was getting started, it gave every new member a free copy of Animal Liberation. For several years, PETA would order special printings of the books, 10,000 copies at a time. And I'm sure that this was a key factor in spreading the ideas in the book. I congratulate Ingrid Newkirk on being awarded the Peter Singer Prize for strategies to reduce the suffering of animals, an honor that she so thoroughly deserves. Peter Singer, April 2016.
Now, before we introduce our first speakers, I want to share just a very brief personal story with you, myself. Back in 2010, before my book had become known and I was really newly embarking on my own carnism awareness work, I was invited to speak at a small yoga conference in Ohio in the Midwestern United States. And at the end of that conference, we were all, not all of us, but a handful of activists and I were on our way to the airport in a little old rundown van being driven by a driver who was not an activist. And as we were driving along, on the side of the road, there was a dog who was clearly trying to cross the road. It was a highway. And we all looked sort of in horror that this dog was about to dart in front of a bunch of moving cars. And the driver kept on going, and nobody said anything. Except there was one activist in that van who said, but wait, there's this dog on the side of the road. We need to stop and help this dog. Pull over, pull over. And nobody said anything. People had flights to catch. It was understandable, but nobody said anything really. And the driver said, I'm sorry, it's too dangerous. We can't pull over on the side of the road. And the activist said, then go to the next exit. Let me out, I'll go back. He said, no, I'm the driver. I can't let you out at the next exit. I'll get in trouble. And she said, okay, fine, then turn around, drop everybody off at the airport and turn around and just bring me back and I'll get the dog myself. So she was willing to miss her flight. And I felt badly and said, you know, I'll go back too. You know, she shouldn't have to do this all alone and the poor dog. And she said, no, it's fine. It just takes one person to get the dog. Just take me back. And so I went to the airport. I never knew what happened to that dog. Not until a few days later when I had an email in my inbox. And the subject heading was from Ingrid Newkirk. And she wrote, thanks so much for offering to go back with me to try to find that old barking dog. At the time, I had no idea that was Ingrid Newkirk. I had no idea Ingrid Newkirk knew who I was. And she proceeded to write me a few lines and said, we didn't find the dog, he was gone, but we didn't find a body either. So it seems like he managed to find his way and get away. And she wrote, I just wanted you to know, thanks so much for caring, wish everyone did, but that's our steep hill to climb. Good luck with your advocacy. You remember this. And so I share this story because there's going to be a lot of talk today about what Ingrid has done in the world. And this is really important. But this story talks not just about what Ingrid does, but about who Ingrid is. So I want to just personally thank you, not simply for all the good you do in the world, but for the compassion that you carry in your heart. So thank you, Ingrid. So now it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Walter Neusel, who is the founder of the Peter Singer Prize.